Okay, all right. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss. Why are you eating directly into the mic? Damn it, Step. Back
Jeez,
up.
we had a hard enough time getting YeeMin's audio decent, and now you sound like you're deep throating
Hey,
something.
I was mindful of that. I ate my pretzels beforehand.
It's literally like we're not even hurting cats because at least cats shut up.
First off, that's blatantly false.
Well, they meow when they want something, but you don't even. It's just quiet. Here we go. I'm not explaining myself to you. Welcome to PARAcast. I'm your boss. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Fernandez.
Feels like our boss.
Should be. Joining me tonight.
Cat.
Joining me tonight. He's so fat and gay they had to build the closet around him. It's Robert Wyatt.
Wow.
Damn, you went there.
Oh, sorry. Robert's not even that fat.
It's called a reloading room, okay?
Nor gay, but I just thought of that. Like, that's the funniest thing I've thought of in a long time, so I had to use it on somebody. The only dare off.
I'll go with Jenny Craig, you bastard.
Get her out of the closet. The only dare officer that encourages kids to get more drugs for their hard-earned money. It's Jared Stepp.
Got bit better have my money.
You gotta pay for that not a cop match somehow.
Yeah, man. Since apparently the PARAcast isn't signing up.
I signed up, and I said, just put me on your squad, and you didn't even do that.
Yeah, well.
I thought about signing up, and I'm continuing to think about signing up.
Thanks for the support, Robert.
I support you in many ways, kind of like an underwire bra.
And as your president, he wants to remind you he did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. It's YeeMin Lin.
Depends on what the definition of is.
It does depend on the definition of what is.
Really depends on the definition of woman.
In 2023, that is factually correct.
I always thought she was kind of cute. I always did.
Tom's got a thing for that gorgeous Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah. I will shoot you in the face with this MP5.
I deserve it.
Speaking of which, so I spent the last 2 weeks in UPSA feeder training school, which is the reason why literally I did not go to the match yesterday.
Here, hold on.
Yeah.
Can you explain what exactly feeder training is? You use a lot of UPS only words that no one else has any idea what this means. There's context.
Jared, you're a cop. You should totally understand what running a train is.
I think you should do a little word information for us.
So
Thanks.
There's package car. I've been a package car driver for like 20 years, and that's your regular UPS delivery man doing that. And then they have what's called feeder division, which is the 53-foot, 45-foot, 28-foot trailers and tractors. So like big rigging, driving an 18-wheeler. And UPS does that through an internal process, and they have their feeder school. And so I signed up to be what is a second backup, which is one guy goes on vacation, number one backup does this. I hang out until they need two at one time, and then I go in there. So it's very minimal, probably 20 weeks out of the year. I will be covering in feeder division, less wear and tear on my body, lots more money. And so you have to go to the school for it. And I did the school like 4 years ago and was like, got to the last day and I was like, F this. I don't want to do this. And
my back hurts.
Yeah. And now I went back to it this week, and it was a great experience, and I passed it with flying colors and did super well. And so now I'm a backup tractor trailer truck driver. And another reason I did this was because UPS is having a contractual negotiation with the Teamsters in August, so our contract runs out. And so I wanted to have not only the certification, but the absolute refresher and training, so that if I ever lost my job at UPS, I could go make a living as an actual tractor trailer driver and not really have any interruptions or my family ever having to worry about if money's coming in. And so, you can still make a pretty good living.
Tommy, I thought if you lost your job, we were going to go do one of those heat-style robberies.
Robert?
First of all, lower your voice.
Lower your voice.
Well, wait a minute. Are you thinking about doing like short haul, day trips, long haul?
Well, so the stuff that's available in my center is literally like go to Two Town South, pick up a trailer from a customer who fills up the truck during the day, put an empty on a door, take the full one back to the center, take this package up to Salt Lake and come down. So it's very much local driving. They are 12-hour shifts, but it's a lot less wear and tear on your body. So instead of working,
So you don't have to pick up stuff. You don't have to run to doorsteps. You don't have to do any of that crap. It's just you're driving incredibly large boxes to and fro.
You are literally the one thing that they stress is when you're putting together these 3 trailers and connecting them to a tractor, make sure they don't come apart on the road. It's very important. And make sure like the brakes work from the tractor all the way to the last trailer so you're not dragging tires and causing a fire. And so a lot of it is basically the inspection of the vehicle, putting everything together, and then the driving. The only thing that's really hard about the driving is managing the turns and learning how to set up for backs and stuff like that. And so you just go there.
For backs, what is that? Like backing up?
Backing trailers up to doors, doing a bunch of stuff. And so UPS is a very methods-oriented company, so they have a big old rule book, and these are the things, and you will do this in the rule book. And one of the stressful things about...
so it's like the military. YeeMin should totally understand that.
Actually, I thought it sounded more like USPSA, except, you know,
it is very much ranged lawyer-esque, because your instructor is like literally calling out. So you'll complete this 457-step process of putting these trailers together, and he goes, hey, when you started up the car, you didn't call out there was an immediate rise in oil pressure within the first 5 seconds. So work on that.
So does this mean that you potentially will be working with those old gun dudes of yore?
They work in another building.
Oh, okay.
So I did see...
They work in a gay building.
I did see Travis and Stan this weekend. Yeah. They work in the building that's literally 100 times larger than the building I work out of.
Wow.
Like, if you don't understand, like, Salt Lake has 2 centers, the old center and the new center, and the new center is like one of the crown jewels of the West out there in West Valley, and it is gigantic.
Oh, I got to be honest with you. Saying West Valley and crown jewel of the West in the same sentence really doesn't seem like it goes.
And it's literally just north of the dump. They built that one. Yep.
Oh. Yeah, FedEx just made a giant one out there too.
Yes. The land when they bought the land was pretty much cheap. But so in my little center in Provo, we have, including me, 5 tractor trailer drivers. Wow. In Salt Lake City, in their lake building, they have 450. So there is a big difference in the amount of volume that is moved and transferred through there. And so it's been fun. My body feels great, but it's literally like, imagine ROing for 12 hours, like ROing a major match, and you have to call out everything that the shooter's doing that could possibly be a problem in the rules. And then what rules they're following. And it's like, it's literally just brain, and it's hypervigilance. It's not only hypervigilance, but you have to literally articulate to the guy why you're seeing everything you're seeing. And so I've said the same 57 things 1 million times, because that's the process. I lead time, next light stop, stale green light, set point of decision, left, right, going through the intersection, following up on hazard, pedestrian on the right, following up. Yeah, so it's just literally that. And so like you still have a fun time, and like you can talk, but like my body feels like $1 million, and my mind feels like it is cooked stew. So I went out there, and I was sitting there, and I was thinking about, you know what? I'm going to go out there. I pass this. I'm going to go buy myself a USP. And so I had one in the cart for, 4 or 5 days, just sitting there thinking about buying a USP. And then I realized like that would detract from my goal from getting 2 shots in under a second from appendix. So I'm going to put that on hold. And I decided that I put a optic on this little guy, because this guy needs an optic so bad. He's basically it does. He's basically unshootable. And with the castle rear sight. So I got a Midwest Industries mount.
Oh, shoot. I wish there's a company. The Midwest is nice. It's really, really good. There's a company that is making the mount for it. Basically, it's a small Picatinny. Yes. It's very small. It's just big enough to allow you to mount the optic onto it, and then there's none of the excess stuff on it. It's a really nice design, and I've seen them kind of teasing it, and they're just in the process of finishing the beta or whatever.
Right. I've seen those, but they're not even. It's not even a pick rail. It's a direct mount for a Holosun,
So
like a RMR footprint.
there are some of those that you simply
Those are nice.
you remove
Yeah,
this.
I'm really interested in one. I would love to have something like that.
How they work is they remove this drum off of the rear, and they use this welded on section as a female receiver for the plate. And then they just simply put on the plate. So there's one that's made for the RMR. There's one that has pick rail sections for the RMR. But the one thing that this thing kind of screams is that when you have an MP5 sitting there in your shoulder, and especially when the length of pole is so short, and you have your neck, it really screams for a very tall optic. And like you kind of knew that, so it's like you could get one of these that has a Holosun or an RMR. The other issue that the MP5 runs into is this very iconic hooded front sight, but the hood is very tall. And so when you run that kind of stuff on there, what you generally start to see is you start to see a red dot just barely over the top of the hood. And so what some guys would do is they would take
chop it off,
Dremel, and they would just make a slanted part of that. And so that's
Dremel, you say?
Dremel, you say? God, don't show that abortion.
I have it
on legal until May 1st.
I have it on good authority from Ben Steger that you can shoot occluded. He's this guy who used to shoot USPSA, and he's basically the guy who invented this idea of putting tape over your optic, and you can shoot right through it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fancy. So I ended up doing that, and then I was trying to decide between the Holosun's 510, which is their EOTech model, and their Ames, which is like their squarish one. Same price for each one. I ended up grabbing the 510C because I want the biggest freaking window on this thing, and I want it high up. And so,
I have to say, go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
And so that's because one thing I've noticed in my time shooting some MP5s is when you put an EOTech size optic on an MP5, they just kind of work out very well together. And so that's kind of what I'm looking forward to do.
Did you think mine? I mean, it's a Spark. It's what I had lying around, right? So there's nothing sexy about it. But did you think that when you shouldered? I mean, we're not shouldering the gun, mind you, but when you braced the gun, did the optic come up pretty clean to you?
Yes.
That's what I noticed too.
That's the point.
You would think that much height would mess with you, but I mean the way that because everybody's like, well, you know, especially with the slide rails on mine, you would think that would be a negative thing, but I just found that every time like I bring the gun up, it's just my head doesn't have to do any weird like canting or nothing. It just popped right into view, and I never once found myself just like, where did that dot go? It's always right there. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Well, and that's a byproduct of a couple things. Like one, we as pistol shooters and modern shooters don't realize how much head position has changed throughout the years. Think about it. Think about the M1 Garand. How do you shoot an M1 Garand?
Tactical turtle.
Yeah, turtle in, eyes behind the sight. M14, stock up against your cheek. You're looking through the iron sights. Then even when we started shooting pistols, like when we're sitting there and YeeMin's in the Marine Corps, like it was a very much a turtle down mag pull style. Get behind it.
Mag pull dynamics.
Yeah.
Throw the arms out, and it was a very
Tactical
much
flip.
A shut down in position, and then literally, you know, you look at stuff guys in the 80s who actually knew what they were doing. None of them were kind of doing that. What they were doing was bringing the guns up to their eye, and it's just like looking out of the center of your eye is way more advantageous to cramming your neck forward and looking out from the top of your eye, like at the upper limitations of your eye. And so now when we grab a long gun, because now we have AR-15s and we have higher optics and lower 1/3s and 193s, and even more than that, we are like...
And Hydra. GVRS Hydra mounts.
Yes, surfboard mounts and stuff. Well, so now that we have all that, and we're shooting red dots, and we're literally shooting half an inch higher than we used to shoot handguns, all of a sudden it makes more sense. I want to be able to present the gun and then basically just have the gun kind of set up to a natural neck position.
I have a friend who like total tactical LARP, but he was commenting how for so long we kept trying to get the optic just lower and lower, closer to the barrel itself, but then when you actually have night vision, you can't get that thing down there. And so the riser starts getting taller and taller and taller, so that as you bring the gun up, everything's more appropriate in there. It's just funny. I mean, just the more things change, the more things stay the same, I suppose.
Well, if you
No, you definitely want that neck tension, because how else is Jared going to get that fat medical retirement package from the department? Jared, why is your neck scrunched out? Hey, that's okay. I've got 100% disability. It's great.
That's a you thing. They don't give cops disability. That doesn't exist. Not in Utah. There's no medical retirement here.
What if you shoot like your annual quota of dogs?
Well, then
That's
you
the
get
ATF.
promoted to the ATF.
They're like, boys, we got to recruit for you.
Yeah, you get promoted straight to Special Agent 1811, and you get a nice little federal badge. And you start getting that fancy leap pay. It's stupid.
But it's funny how old things that are old become new again. If you look at some of the older stuff from the 1800s, like sights actually start to become more and more elevated. Like when they start going into World War I, you'll see some fancy designs that have like ladder sights and taller sights, and they start to get elevated again. The other thing that's cool is like when you look at the original M16 and the idea of the M16 and then having the optic on top of the charging handle. And then you're like, oh,
I was noticing that. I'm like, oh, looks like they actually had something figured out. I mean, maybe it was right, maybe it was wrong, but it's like, oh, that actually seemed to work pretty well.
Yes, and then so there's always kind of a reason to it now. The MP5 still has the best iron sights available for a submachine gun if you were to use it with bringing it up to your shoulder. But the other caveat is a lot of people who are shooting people with MP5s weren't really using the iron sights a whole lot. So
sights are overrated anyway. So
sights are overrated. So anyways,
you get in close and you just flip that the fun switch on and you just brat.
The Utah County way. Mag dump at a moving car on I-15.
I thought that was the Murray Cop way.
No, that
was down
Utah
there in
County.
Provo. Yep, where the guy was chasing a bunch of cars, and the officer told him, "Hey, everyone get to the other side of the highway." And then he literally, because he's an exit ahead of the guy running in the pickup truck, and takes out his MP5 and puts it on fun, and literally hoses the guy down. And the guy got shot with what? He got shot in the shoulder, and
he only got shot a couple times.
Yeah, so.
That is funny.
Yeah,
that's just funny.
That's what happens. But anyways, I'm doing my my feeder training. And I'm doing my last the certification test, like the test, and I'm going through. And of course, you got to open the hood of the tractor, and you got to look at all this stuff in the tractor, make sure it's not going to break down. And I go to close the hood, and I'm like, I can't wait to get done with this, go shooting tomorrow, just have a good weekend. And I go to shut the hood, and I smash my freaking thumb in the damn hood. And thank goodness the two instructors were on the other side of the cab getting in to do the inside part of the test. And so I'm like, mother grabber, because the last thing you want to do is when they're looking at you for safety and safe work methods is smash the living shit out of your thumb and be like, I think I'm injured. So I literally took the rest of the test and hooked the stuff together with GIMP hand, and so it's still pretty messed up.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, well, I'm happy. So, Robert, did you shoot a match?
I shot 2 matches and I had a great time. It was fun, and I missed a target entirely at the indoor match because we're sitting there looking at the stage and Brett's like, hey, have you thought about shooting this way? And I'm like, that's a damn good idea, Brett. I mean, like, that'll save a ton of time on the stage. He's like, yeah. I was like, I don't think anybody knows about it. I'm like, no, I don't think so either. And I'm like, oh man, I got to remember this when I'm up. By the way, when am I up? Right now.
Oh yeah.
Well, shit. This is the problem. Sometimes at that indoor match, it's like, it's fine. You're the match director. You can sometimes get into shooter mode, but sometimes you're so busy trying to do everything else.
You never get it really.
No.
When you're match director, it sucks.
And so you're just like, I mean, that's the nice thing about that match. I just don't care about it. It's there. We do it. People get to have a great and fun time, and I think that's awesome. But sometimes you do stuff and you're just like, well, that was smart.
Yeah.
But no, it was fun. Then yesterday we had our slips a match, and we didn't have that many people by California standards. There was only 99. So there's a few. We got out of there about 3:30. That was suboptimal.
If only Tom had showed up, we would have broken 3 digits.
Why did it take you guys so long to finish the match?
The last squad was the last squad that was shooting was filled up with 3 gunners.
Well, there were 2 squads that were slow as balls. Everybody else,
my story's better. If I just crap on 3 gunners, it's so much better.
Everybody else finished at about 2:30 or so, maybe 3.
Yeah, I think we wrapped our stage up at 2:30.
You had 2 squads. One was full of 3 gunners and old people, and the other had 1 RO on it, and then the rest were Timmies.
Ooh. I think that was the squad that I was originally squatted on.
That was squad 2, I believe.
Correct. That was the squad I was going to be squatted on.
You would have fit right in with your MP5.
I was shooting my Glock.
It was, but yeah, I mean, the stages, and we were talking about this afterwards. Disregard like those 2 squads, right? The stages ran really well. Blake and all the stage designers this month, they put together fantastic stages. They flowed exceptionally well. I like Dirk's stage. He did a great job, like setting that barrel, like so that it actually would spin. I mean, that was pretty.
Explain what the barrel was.
Go ahead, Jared, to explain it.
So basically, what happened last week was Dirk built a pretty fun stage. I actually really, really liked the stage last week. It was basically a coffin-sized, like a coffin-shaped shooting area, and on the left back, you had like 8 steel targets ranging from about 7 yards to 20 yards. And then on the right side, you had about 8 paper targets ranging from 5 yards to 20 yards. And then from the middle position or all the way up front, you could take a plate rack?
Yep.
So that's how it was. He kind of wanted people to go up front, but what everybody did was they just shot left, shuffled to the middle, shuffled to the right. And so everybody shot it from the back. So this week, he's like, I'm going to force them to go up front. So he made a barrel like that's mounted sideways like a Donkey Kong game cannon that you look through this barrel. You have to put your arms through, and using your elbows, you have to move it left and right to articulate the barrel.
And who said UDPL was dead? Who said that?
But so you had to articulate the barrel. You had to start it either facing the left corner or start it facing the right corner. And so you had to run up to the front. You had to use the barrel, shoot a couple targets up front, and then you can move to the back left and then the back right. And so it was fun, but I'm not a big fan of the barrel use like that just because it has all these. It's cut a bunch, and you had guys who were scraping their arms, putting their guns in there, and then I'm shooting open minor, and when I put my gun in there and fired, it was like whoa, and then the poor guy shooting open major put their gun in that barrel, having to shoot. Like one of them literally was like, "Dude, I fired 1 shot," and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not, I'm done." And then
I see that as a self-correcting problem.
Correct.
As don't shoot open major.
But holy crap. It was fun. I didn't like that barrel.
He did. I really liked. Shooting through the barrel was suboptimal because the first time you pull the trigger, even on a minor gun, all that pressure and the pressure and the noise kind of just punches you in the face.
Yeah.
And the thing that was so clever about the way he did it was he built that barrel in such a way that it was very free floating, like on.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You couldn't just set it and leave it there. It would want to like move because it was very well done that way. And so it kind of forced you to jam your arms into there to hold it in position. But when I ran back, shot the stuff on the right, shot the stuff on the left, came up, and I finished there. And that first shot, the pressure and the sound, just like, I mean, you can actually see it in the video. It was like boom, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I got to keep going. And
yeah, no, everybody
really messed with you.
That first shot, everybody's just like, ugh. And then you had guys started doubling up their ears, and it was funny, but I mean, it was a good stage. I kind of ruined it though, because on Friday, I was at the range on Friday actually doing a class, and after the class, Dirk came up to me and was like, "Hey, could you check out my stage?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How would you shoot this?" And I said, "Oh, I would stage the barrel right here. and then I would start on the start stick. Then I'd run to the back, shoot, and I'd shoot through the barrel, thread the needle, basically hit the targets that I had to hit through the barrel from the back.
Oh,
and then
you
shoot the
did
targets on the
that.
right. And then he's just like, shit. So he goes up and changes it, and like, all right, it has to be facing directly left or directly right. And I'm like, god damn it, why'd I say that?
Yeah, don't ever give stage designers good ideas.
So that was,
but it was
funny.
good. He did a good job with it. I mean, shooting through the barrel sucked. I really appreciated how well he was able to build a barrel and build the hinge system to make it just so movable that it wasn't easy as just slap it once and it stays in position, because that's the easy, cheap way out. He did a really good job. I don't know what he did, but it was good.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to see this at Utah State?
Oh, we won't see it at Utah State.
Okay. That's a 2-no. That's a 2-no. Mr. President, go ahead and let Dirk Hopkins know this will not be happening at Utah State.
Well, I have the stages. It's not going to be at Utah State.
Mr. President, anything you would like to talk about over the past few weeks?
I actually remembered to shoot a match this past weekend. So I shot yesterday. The stock 2 OR that I'm trying to use as my new carry optics gun, and I literally had no time to test that, so it was just full send. So I've got a little bit of work to do there. It does feel really good. I'm running the Seymour 10 MOA optic because Dave Blanton basically said, yes, try this out. And I haven't shot in forever, so it was okay. I'm just out here for the lulz. Between that and, oh my God, Shotgun World Shoot 2022 Shotgun World Shoot slots are supposed to be paid for by Friday, so I'm spending my weekend figuring out who gets to be on Team USA and who gets to go to represent USA for the lulz for the first swing. And then, and I know this is a hot topic of conversation, but we are spending lots of time talking about the budget, and so had some pretty lengthy discussions over the last couple of days about what our budget looks like, and how much it's going to cost to have Jared create an OnlyFans account so we can raise money for USPSA.
$5.
I think we need to do more than that. I mean, we can make it the MP5, the TAC Timmy MP5 OnlyFans.
Oh,
listen, YeeMin, like it's your job to run the organization. I don't think that's a hot idea. You can see a 4-inch penis literally anywhere.
4 is on a good day,
right? No, I mean, without going too much into details, I mean, we are doing, we're going into the financial details and expenses in a way that, that's where we should have been. And so, being able to get that insight and what we're going to be talking about at the next board meeting, I think is going to be very helpful for everyone to be able to see, like, hey, this is how much everything actually costs.
Well, why don't you be more transparent? What are you trying to hide?
Well, we haven't actually gotten to that yet, so talking about it right now might be good initiative and very poor judgment. So
yep.
We've got about another week and some change. So there's a lot of organizational self-analysis that's going on right now, and so it'll be a good look and a good assessment of where we're actually at least until John Batista, looks at the numbers. He's going to be like, what's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
How much mayo do we need?
You guys spend how much on airplane travel?
Well, shoot, you know how that goes, Robert.
I know exactly how that goes.
You could have saved money flying on Spirit. Why'd you have to fly on Delta?
I mean, maybe next time don't take the Concorde.
The USPSA official travel is the plane from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I mean, shoot, the irony right now is that I was thinking about helping out Zach Grenier at the Trident Standby to Fly, match, because they've done a really great job helping out, veterans related organizations and whatnot. And it's ironically cheaper for me to fly to Greece right now than it is for me to fly to Bangor, Maine.
Jeez.
Isn't that the weirdest thing right now? Like, I was talking to Brett Thomas, and he was saying, like, for out of Utah, Like for some reason, flying out of Utah is just ridiculously overpriced. And
Well,
it's like, you guys want us to actually travel anywhere, you may want to like get these prices a little bit more reasonable.
well, what kills me is all the ticky tack little stuff. So we were looking at flying over to Santa Fe, New Mexico, for spring break because that's where the in-laws are at now.
Mhm.
And it's you look it up on Google, and they're like, oh, flights are like $165 round trip. I'm like, oh, I could do that. Then I click on that flight, and it's like, oh, that's actually with Spirit Airlines. It has to do like 4 stops over here, here, here. Oh, you want a one-way ticket? That's $250. I'm like, oh, okay, $250 still isn't bad. Oh, but actually, $250 is for the economy cabin. Apparently, there's a main cabin. That economy, you don't get to pick your seats. Main cabin is a $20 upcharge, and then you get to pick your seats. Oh, and then on top of that, there's a back fee. And on top of the, and on top, and it's just like, oh no, I hate all of you. I'm driving.
That's dude. I seriously, everything you said, I feel the exact same way. It's just ridiculous.
Well, maybe if they didn't get a bunch of free money from the government during COVID, they would have had a little bit more competitive prices.
Jeez,
maybe. I don't know. You know what we need to do, Jared, is we just need to find a way to get UPS's newest second backup driver to drive down into Mexico, and we'll just like hook a free ride up.
Oh yeah. Like literally, if you just want to defecate in the back of a 28-foot trailer and die of heat stroke, I'm your man.
You think I haven't done that before?
Tommy, that is literally what you do every summer.
Not anymore, suckers.
Except for the...
I still remember the one time I found Tommy out on his route. I'm driving around working in Lehigh, and I find this UPS truck parked over in this church parking lot. And I'm like, hey, doesn't Tommy work over here? And I drive over and look, and there's this guy in brown clothing just passed out laying on the ground in the grass. Is he okay? And then I walked up, I'm like, hey, Tom. And he's like, oh, what's up?
And where Jared normally would walk up, are you here against your will?
And that's
Where's the child?
There was nothing I like more than doing that. Now I kind of do that over there by the reservoir. But one of the things that's on the feeder pre-trip and the tractor trailers, making sure that the air conditioner blows cold. That's right, kids. I will have air conditioning in there.
Oh, and classy bitch.
And it's funny how much time you spent in that cozy tractor with its air-cushioned suspension seat. And then you get out, and it's like 40 degrees, and I'm like literally in the canyon at like 8 degrees or 2 degrees moving boxes around, and I'm going out there, it's 40 degrees, and all of a sudden I turn into the freaking Robert Wyatt. I'm like, oh, it's cold. Oh, this metal I'm touching is cold. Supervisor, did you realize the bag is cold? Let's stay away. Get in. Is that the wind I feel? Oh.
I'm not wrong. I'm just saying, it's cold.
Oh, so YeeMin, what I wanted to ask you, so the Stock 2 OR, so this now has the steel optics plate that is a universal optics plate, correct?
Correct.
And so does it give you like a million different sets of screws or screw lengths for the different optics you have?
It does come with it comes with a lot. It basically comes with every possible type of screw that you could use for current optics out there, and then the plate itself actually has different points that you can put in little index inserts.
Yeah.
So that way the plate is not just the optics is not just mounted directly to the plate. It actually has removable bosses that you can move around on the plate. So that way the optic is actually indexed by those bosses, and then the screws just function as actual fasteners, not fasteners and locator pins.
Nice.
That's cool. That's way cool.
Yeah,
that was what the Gen 1 staccato mount had, those where you had the little steel, basically they were tiny steel rods that acted as the recoil bosses, and you could pop them out and pop them in. And I was like, oh, this is smart. And then they got rid of it.
Why?
I don't know. Because the Timmies didn't like it. I don't know, man.
Well, I would imagine milling that stuff out would be kind of a pain in the butt, but there's other companies that probably make a lot of plates for the actual manufacturers who are a little bit more skilled, and the cost per piece is probably a lot easier for them to just cut a big cut a big chunk out. I mean, so much so that when Walther came out with the PDP, they literally just cut out an empty spot, like a blank slot with screws in it, and they were just like, "Oh, you can order the plates off of us." And so they were just getting a plate from some manufacturer and then putting it on their website, put it in their packaging, and it's like, this isn't a great idea. But you're starting to see that more and more now, where it's like everyone's shipping without the plate, because my guess is, since the factory doesn't make it, they don't put it in the box.
All I know is the best plate I've ever had for a Shadow 2 is the one that Jason Kai's company made. And that thing has been rock solid. I haven't had a problem. I've had problems with all the others, but the one he made has never given me a problem. And I'm like, thank you, Jason. It's funny because he called me up and he's like, hey, we've got this new plate. I was wondering if you try it. And I'm like, sure, I'll do anything for $1. But he's like, well, the reason I'm asking you is because you break everything. And I figure if you can't break this, it's probably been good.
Oh yeah. Well,
and good on him. He built a good system.
I installed an EGW dovetail mount for our friend Alex Wendt and put that in there. And honestly, like, those EGW mounts are fantastic. And I would recommend one of their dovetail mounts over, if you have a Glock 17 and you're thinking about grabbing an MOS and an MOS plate and putting that in there, those EGW dovetail mounts, they sit a little higher, but man, those things are bomb-proof, rock solid. I have never sat there and put something into the dovetail, screwed it, and then screwed it on, where that thing was like, it's you can see if it's shifting. It's not going to shift. I mean, it's literally rocked in there, and so I was quite impressed with it. And then I also oiled his gun, because he's obviously following the school of Robert Wyatt. And I'm like, these things are effing bone dry. And then he grabbed me and goes, why is my gun so oiled? It's like, because I oiled them, because they were freaking thirsty.
You don't need to oil them if you.
It was like
put a little bit of grease or something on there. I mean,
just spit on it.
Oil Glock. Yeah, you're not supposed to oil Glocks. It's perfection. They're self-oiling.
Well, these were HKP 30s. It was like spitting on the ground in the desert. You just watch it evaporate.
Go get yourself some of that.
If it's an HK, you need to dunk it.
I dunk everything. You got to dunk everything. If you want to dunk yourself in some fine drip, head on over to Dominate Defense, where you can get the best belt in the industry. Mach 1 speed belt, or any of their concealment belts, or any of their inner belts for the current setup that you're actually using. Check them out. Use promo code PARA10 and save 10% off your order. Also, swing by Precision Holsters. Get yourself a nice fast holster, one of the best holsters you can get out there to use, especially if it makes a model for your firearm. Use promo code PARA10 and save 10% off that. Also, grab some magazine pouches while you're there. And check out Rune Tactical. Get an extra bullet in your mag. Sometimes you get two. Check them out. Very affordable, and
guaranteed for life.
And
if he upgrades them, you'll get a new one.
Yeah, it's a great setup. It's a great company. Check out Aaron over there at Rune Tactical. Use promo code PARA10 and do that. Telegram, you can ask us questions. Join us in the chat. It's pretty fun, and Robert's going to read them.
I will. I am.
Oh wait,
so send it.
No, I want to say one thing, because I know both of you will enjoy this. We had one guy show up on our squad yesterday he had a Kimber 1911.
Fuck yeah.
And I've never had this happen before. He could not load his firearm.
So wait, what do you mean he couldn't load? Yes.
He said, load and make ready. He'd take his gun out. He was obviously a new shooter. He said this is like the second time he's ever shot the gun. He takes his magazine from it was one of those old school quad stacks where it was 2 and 2.
Oh my
god! It was
gosh.
a 45.
Wow.
So it was 45 ACP. So that's all he had. I'm like, all right, cool, man, we got this. So he takes his mag out, puts it in the gun, racks it, lets it go, and it jam.
Oh boy.
And he's trying to load it, and we can't get it to load a single round.
Reloads or factory ammunition?
Factory ammunition, supposedly. But I had my doubts about that, especially when I saw him picking up brass. I'm like,
yeah, I don't think so.
But
you lie.
He could not get a single round into that gun. And I'm like, what is the procedure when this happens? I mean, obviously I need him to go somewhere else and fix this, but also if he can't get his gun to even load a round, I don't think we should probably start him on a stage that requires 30 rounds. So that was kind of funny because I called Blake over and I'm like, Blake, hit 1911, no work good. You fixed good, yeah? And we took it off to the side and looked at it, and it's just like, dude, this feed ramp is abysmal. There's like a giant gap between the actual barrel and the frame, and it was just, you could see where all the rounds had just been like hitting the carbon, and it was just like, so.
Hey, Robert, I think we know somebody who could work on feed ramp. You know, maybe Tony Wong. I mean, he's very professional with a Dremel.
Oh, Tony is, I mean, he is Mr. Dremel tool. I actually understand that Dremel reached out to him a couple months ago to see about
sponsorship.
So we
ended
ended up.
Work? Do you want it to stop working? Except no less, Tony Wong.
He ended up getting one mag that could actually load it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because it was a 10 round, like, you know, one of the old school power mags.
Yes.
And one of the guys walks up, he's like, that's not legal for singles tag. I go, shut the
you
fuck
up.
You shut your whore mouth. We're letting him shoot. And he got through 2 mags, and then it's just started jamming again, and he says like, yeah, I'll be done. And well, because he started trying to fix the malfunction, and his finger was like this, and I yelled at him. And so he got his finger out of the trigger guard, and then after that, I'm just like, we need to have a talk. I'm sorry.
That's someone that you give a private lesson to, Jared.
No, that's someone that you tell him, here's a free $500 gift certificate to go buy yourself a Rock Island because it will probably work 1,000 times better than your Kimber.
Well, ironically, if you want a really good gun right now, CZ is selling their P-Series guns.
That's an oxymoron, Robert. Let's move on.
Hey, shut your...
No, we had guys...
P-Series guns are awesome.
We had guys offering to like, dude, I got a backup gun. You can use my gun. I can give you, I can give you ammo. You had the whole USPSA guys being nice, trying to help him out. But he's like, I want to use this. It worked fine yesterday. And I'm like, okay. No, I mean, he was a young guy. He was probably, honestly, if I saw him on the street, I would have guessed he was like 17, 18. But I'm going to assume he's 21 for the sake of he had a pistol. Technically, you only have to be 18 to have a pistol in Utah.
Correct.
Gotta love Utah.
But it was just rough. And so the next bay, I didn't TQ him, but he was just like, I'm just not gonna shoot. And I'm like, okay. I mean, dude, you could probably talk to the match director. Honestly, Blake will probably give you your money back, or he'll hold it as a down payment for him to fix your gun. Just, dude, go talk to Blake. He can make that thing work.
And was it an old
really
Kimber
simple
or new Kimber?
No, he
brand
just
new.
takes the Kimber and he looks at it, and then he looks over here and he drops it in the trash.
Well,
hey, it works.
I've actually owned 3 Kimbers, and they were all great.
I know, dude. They have such well, yeah, because the old ones were still in that semi-custom range, but then they kind of went into the production quality issues, and it just
they have the same severe tier line issue that they have, where they have like the guns they care about and then the rest of them.
Right.
Well, to me, Kimber's just like Springfield. You're rolling a dice and you're rolling a die. And if you get higher than a certain number, it'll work. If you get lower than a certain number, it's going to be a piece of crap potato. It's just the quality, the QC is just not there. And so on both of those lines, honestly, like everything Springfield, if I bought a Springfield, I just go bring it over to Blake and be like, you make sure fixed, right? Good. Yes. Yeah. And honestly, I do that with any 1911. I did that with my staccatos, with my duty guns. I brought them over to Blake. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, these are actually really nice. Huh.
Yeah. So, there's only a handful of those ones that you can really sit there and think that they're going to be straight off the bat, like even some of the Springfield ones that they have like the TRP series, which is basically a bulletproof kind of series that you have. But it's just like, honestly, if you want a bulletproof 45 caliber handgun, there's this great company. They're in Germany. They're called Heckler & Koch, and they make bulletproof 45 caliber handguns, which are not division legal in almost anything.
Oh, well, you can shoot it unlimited. Shut up. I don't want
Well,
to hear your bullshit
well,
answers.
of course, Tommy. It's not going to be legal because the only way that you can actually shoot a gun in single stack is if it's not reliable.
Correct. You have to have something.
Mm.
You have to have
If
something
you wanted
like
a
that.
reliable gun, we wouldn't be picking up a 1911.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So
Ouch, but true.
some of
The
them.
big sad.
The big, yeah, the
Mhm.
big sad. The funny thing is like, yeah, you get one of those P10s. I saw the stupidest deal I've ever seen in my life. A Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 4.25-inch optics ready model with a nice pistol bag with 5 magazines and $100 rebate. $439 after the rebate.
Oh my
Holy cow.
gosh. Wow.
Listen, I love the M&P. I don't think there's a better polymer pistol that's made for under $800 than the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. And I'm just sitting there going like, this is like Canik Smith & Wesson $500 P10s. It's like, what else do you want, everybody? Like, this is the golden age.
I want a Springfield Emissary or a Ronin.
Or
That's
a
what
Ronin.
I want.
Kevin let me fondle his that Canik rival. It's a nice
the
gun.
steel one?
Yeah.
The Rival S.
Yeah.
That's a good job, Canik. You guys built a really good gun, I have to say.
Yep. Now it's funny the Striker Fire steel frame guns, but yeah, that thing is freaking awesome. The funny thing is too is like Springfield's trying to give away those XDs as possible, and as comfortable as an XD is, and the sights that come with the gun, and the capacity that you get out of them, I am still shocked that we do not even see new shooters show up with XDs. Isn't that weird?
Grip zone.
You do not.
Grip zone.
I see guys showing up with M&Ps. I see people showing up with Glocks or Canics or VP9s or something like that. I never see a new shooter come in there. Oh, I'm shooting my. Like when it comes out of the holster, it's a SIG P320. It's never my XDM 9mm.
They're more expensive.
Yeah.
They can be. Yeah.
No. Like if you go to a gun store right now, you could probably find a Glock, $500-600. You can find a SIG for $400 to $500 to $600, depending, how crazy you want to get. But the basic bitch models, $400 to $600. Canik, $400 to $600. The XDs are more expensive than that. They're like $500 to $700.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so there's no reason for somebody to get an XD.
The XD used to be the easiest gun to sell brand new people because you could show them all the safeties on it. Look, it's got this grip safety and all these other things, and people would be like, "Safety? Oh, that's what I want. I'm a safe person. I want to be safe."
So I could give this to my child?
Yeah. And it was just one of those. It was one of those funny things.
Jenny needs a grip gun.
Yeah, it's just weird. But the thing about the Springfield XD is, take away that it has that really bad fatal flaw with the grip zone, with that grip, that beaver tail grip thing. It was a remarkably accurate gun. It had really good triggers on them. There was a lot going for it, but that one major fatal flaw, that was pretty bad.
But for some reason, the one time it sucked a dick, now everybody calls it gay.
Yeah.
Now it's gay.
It only did it once, guys. It's not, it was a long time ago.
It was young. It was in college. It was trying new things.
And now all of a sudden, everybody thinks XD is gay.
Just trying to impress a girl by showing how open it was. Anyway, Telegram.
Before we do, Kepler Kramer, he is the match director for Area 1. He asked me to beg any of
Kepler is?
Kepler is the match director.
Awesome. Good for him.
This is up in Montana, right?
No, this is in Utah.
Steel Challenge?
Area 1 Steel Challenge.
Yeah, so I'll read his thing. It says, the Salt Lake Practical Shooting Association is pleased to announce that we are hosting the 2023 Area 1 Steel Challenge Championship in Salt Lake City, Utah, June 1st through 4th. Our prize table committee is hard at work and expects to have well-stocked and random draw prizes. To accommodate the broadest range of shooters, we are offering 4 stages per half-day options, Thursday afternoon and Friday morning, and all 8 stages per half-day on Friday afternoon, Saturday morning and afternoon, and Sunday morning. We look forward to shooting with you all. And so,
sounds hot.
We should sign up for that. Let's go.
I'm getting a pen right now. I'm not even getting just a pen. I'm getting a Uniball. gel
Ooh.
pen to
Apparently, I'm
to
involved
do
with
that.
this match because last year at Utah State, the USPSA match, the real match, like Kepler's like, "Can you do IT for the match?" And I must have been like dehydrated and drunk or something, or a little of both, because I said yes. So in some weird fashion, I'll be involved in this thing, and I'm happy to, because I'm a team player.
Does Steel Challenge start from the holster? Or is that the one when you point at the cone?
I actually
rimfire is from a aiming point. Center fire is wrist above shoulders and from
right.
No, that sounds like an absolute blast of a Saturday.
That sounds like an absolute Saturday.
It sounds like a good time.
It is a day.
Yeah,
hey, you know what? A lot of people like it. I mean,
I love Steel Challenge.
If it wasn't on Sunday, I've told Andrew, if it wasn't on Sunday, I would actually tend to go do it, because it looks interesting. It really tests your ability to transition the gun effectively. So there's a lot of coolness about it. I just don't have it around me.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and a guy he's more focused on self-defense shooting and stuff like that, and that's his jam. And he actually brought up an interesting point where he said he thinks Steel Challenge is the most realistic shooting sport for self-defense.
Because you get to shoot a guy 5 times and throw out the bad one?
Because realistically, self-defense shootings are going to be within, 7 to 10 yards or closer. It's going to be standing. You're going to shoot 1 to 5 shots, and you cannot miss. And so it was interesting just thinking about that, because I was like, I could actually see an argument for that, because if you're standing there and Steel Challenge is draw, hit, and that's in real life, it's going to be draw and you can't miss, because if you miss, you're again rolling that dice and hoping that you don't get a nat 1. So it was interesting hearing that.
That's so D&D.
I got a 1, critical miss.
Critical miss, you hit an orphan. So it was interesting hearing that, because I never thought of it that way, and I was like, maybe I should do Steel Challenge.
Well, the other part go ahead.
It makes sense. It makes sense from your initial draw, right? Because that's really critical in Steel Challenge, and the way it isn't the same in USPSA. The counter argument to that would be, if you're basically dealing with Steel Challenge on an occasional basis, then yeah, it's all about efficiency. But the plates never move, right? So
right.
For all those people that talk about training scars, doing the same thing over and over again, I mean, ultimately that's what gets you good at Steel Challenges. It's building in that muscle memory where you're basically almost index aiming and not actually using your sights. To a certain
right.
Yeah, the occasional thing, and so there was always those kind of like outlaw kind of matches where they would have like Steel Challenge-esque, where the positions of the plates would be not the same 8 stages you would shoot in Steel Challenge. Would be interesting. But I always thought that like the kind of the coolest kind of stages were like stuff that would be produced down at Barry Steel Open, where it would literally be all steel with a handgun, and that's kind of like imagine Pro-Am, but with like little pieces of steel throughout. And it's kind of funny. It's like when you have to hang 2 on everything correctly, it's very hard to sit there and outrun the stage. Like, so, especially with small steel. And so I always think small steel and having a set limited number of rounds that have to be put on the small steel is probably like the purest form of shooting.
Henning actually runs a concept like that at Boulder in Colorado. So I know that's something we're talking to him about. At Pyru, where Steel Challenge started, they had an action steel type format that was pretty similar. So there's options out there. It's just formalizing and getting it out there and seeing if it's worth our time and effort.
Yep.
Action steel is a lot of fun because there's minimal reset. It's fast. It just goes. I really liked when I was hosting those Tuesday night steals or the Monday night steals here at Slipsa. That was a lot of fun. It just was it's a lot of effort for pretty much zero sum game for the club. I mean, you're not the $10 match fee just goes straight to DWR. It doesn't even go to the club. It literally, the club's like getting nothing out of it.
That's why you just host a practice.
Oh,
and Kepler said that if you sign up in the next week and use the promo code Para10, he will give you a ride from stage to stage in his little go-kart. So,
wow. Hey, Jared, that's what you need to do for your Not a Cop match.
Hell yeah.
Code PARA10 and create an MP5 specific division, and then you'll see Tom and Robert at the match.
You put PARA10 and it sends you straight to the PARAcast OnlyFans page.
3 of us together will make a foot long. Anyways, Telegram. We're an hour and 16 minutes into this call. We haven't hit one question. Let's hit it.
Doing great.
From Alex Mansfield. Do you get video? Do any of you get video of your stages? If so, do you get it in third person? Do you get it in point of view? If so, what do you use to film?
Are we talking about shooting video or personal video?
Yes.
This is a shooting show.
I mean, we were just talking about OnlyFans.
I've kind of gone across the board on that one. I mean, when I first started, I was using the GoPro and a hat cam first person. I've used a GoPro 360 for a third person perspective. I'll be honest, after the first 3 or 4 years, you kind of know like whether you've dorked up a stage as soon as you finish. And the video really only confirms what your brain is telling you at the end of the stage. At this point, I'm using the Tachyon camera because Tachyon was kind enough to provide the Handgun World Shoot competitors with their product to be able to use for some promotion stuff. I'll use that when I can, and otherwise it's hand the phone off. And it really depends on who your camera person is. I mean, you can get quite a bit from third person camera if you have a camera person that takes good guidance. So
YeeMin, I have a question. With your match video, how often do you have to delete your videos to free up space after your 7-hour make ready?
It's down to 6.5 hours now. So I just I buy bigger and bigger iPhones with more memory, and that solves the problem.
It's not entirely his fault. Since the upgrade to 4K, it takes a lot more space.
Yeah.
Right? His make ready was okay at 1080p, but now it's
60 frames per second, 4K.
When I used to do the GoPro thing, the only thing I found that it was very helpful is it would jog your memory of what you were thinking when addressing certain targets. But besides that, it wasn't super helpful. Like, the only things you could really tell was transitions and splits. And honestly, I think a lot of the third-person cameras for other people to diagnose something that you may not see, because generally you'll kind of understand what you're not seeing to begin with, or the mistakes that you make, like Robert was saying. You already kind of know what's happening by the end of it. So it's really just for other people and for the memories.
I used to send my my match videos to John Batista, and then I got tired of. I already felt bad about myself, and John just made it worse. So I was like, "Screw that."
We're not doing this anymore.
He can be pretty rough. I mean, Jared definitely doesn't take any video because that would be, evidence in a court case.
First, lower your voice. I used that Insta360 hat cam, and I the reason I started using it was because I was trying to figure out when it was a lot for movement, and I was having a real hard time with pulling off of a target before I should have. So like if I was doing, sorry, Jared, a moving Blake drill, usually the last one, I'd put the first shot in there, and then you can actually see it in the video, like the camera starts turning away, and so does the gun, and I'm like, and so I used it to help me just to visualize, this is what's happening, and then I just used it to try and actually use that as a diagnosis tool. But first person point of view is almost worthless. I mean, there's little bits of value, but the third person, assuming you get John Batista to make you feel horrible.
It looks cool, but from a educational standpoint, the third person is a lot better because most of the time most people actually their shooting is just fine. It's the movement. The
Yeah.
movement is what
Yep.
people struggle with. And so
Oh,
getting
yeah.
actually good video footage and actually watching your feet and actually watching how you enter and exit positions. I actually posted up a video on Instagram, and it literally was the last stage of the day, and it was going to be a full ham stage. Somebody came up to me and was like, Leo did this in 10 seconds. What do you think you can do it in? And I'm like, well, we're going to fucking try. So let's go. So I had already decided that this was not going to be like a deliberate or like a match pace. This was going to be, how many sight pictures are we going to have? None. And so I accepted that I was going to have most likely some misses. I accepted that I was most likely going to have, some issues throughout, but it was going to look really cool. And I was trying to I was trying to go as fast as I could to see if I could catch Leo. And I did it in 11 seconds. And obviously it looked great for the gram. I ended up having only one mic, which wasn't bad, and I think 1 or 2 deltas, which is not great in open minor.
That sounds like a shit stage, Jared.
It wasn't great, but the thing is most people did it in like 13 or 14 seconds. So me doing it in 11 with a little bit of a mistakes, that still wasn't like, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
I think I still ended up like 80% on that stage. But it was funny because afterwards, Leo messaged me. I was like, hey, man, I was checking out your video. It's cool. Would you mind if I gave you a couple tips on how to get better? And so we talked a little bit about movement and entering and exiting and actually getting lower. And I know that's what I struggle at, is actually getting low, getting that stable position. Because he's like, you were shooting these 4 targets all on one leg and you were basically flamingoed. I'm like, yeah.
Did you see those splits?
Yeah, but it looked cool, right? And he's like, it did look cool. So
I think we almost look at like the so there's the diagnosis aspect of what we shop. But there's more and more glasses. Like there's the glasses now that have the camera kind of sitting there on the bridge, which actually tries to get you like a sight picture while you're shooting, or at least something with the dot. And I think we like look at it the wrong way, that we could use that as preparation to see, like if you literally took like a blue gun out or a dry fire gun or went out, let's say, you have access to the range and you go out there, or you're just trying to set up, this is how I want to present to every target with the fast transition. You could literally record yourself in a dry fire with a sight picture on the targets, transitioning over to the next target, transitioning over, and then doing like something like a Blake drill or something like that, and then literally being deliberately bang, 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 and then transitioning the gun, and then watching that video back and programming your brain how to transition the gun and how to get the sight pictures in specific points, like recording yourself doing it perfectly right and then replaying that to get it down. I mean, it's like musicians. Like you sit there and you pick your favorite song and you learn your favorite song. And you do that over and over again, and then when you're not playing, you're listening to it. And so if you could build that kind of attitude and subconscious practice of seeing what you actually want to see before you did it. Because right now, all we do is visualize. So I honestly think the video camera process is not utilized before the beep.
All right, from Moisha. What would it take to bring rifles into a USPSA type sport? Aren't rifles as much fun as handguns? Why don't we have something more real for rifles? A real rule book, classifications, real safety at a match. And then second question from him is, I'm getting ready to move to a house with a very nice finished basement. How do I convince my wife that the entire basement is best suited as my workshop / reloading space?
Dear Moisha, please look at Robert's basement. There. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
spiders.
You loosen up.
Lots of spiders in the basement. Generally, will keep them out of it.
And ghosts, dead bodies, ghosts. What other bad things can you put down there? Just I'll be downstairs exercising the demons, honey. Don't come down.
It'll be an $80 JBL Flip 5 and some spooky stuff when she goes down there for the first time. Like hide that thing. You can get some vibes going. A USPSA. Go ahead, YeeMin.
So our biggest challenge with rifle is, to a certain extent, figuring out what works to properly exercise the discipline. IPSC probably has the best rule book out there in terms of what they test with rifle. But if you consider where USPSA came from, where it's primarily handgun focused, and that's where the majority of the activity is, then trying to find a range that will help out with rifle. I mean, there's a reason why rifle and shotgun tends to be more either outlaw or it's ridden within multi-gun. It's because you only have so many ranges and you only have so many weekends. If you look at what you have in Utah, would you really be able to run an effective rifle match at SLPSA? Your bays are pretty small for that. Then what are your options outside of that? You could do it. The question is who would be the advocate and the champion for that? And once you start getting into distance, I mean, this would be really good to actually have Kenny kind of provide his feedback on this one, because you guys talk with him all the time about how long his PRS matches take and what are they doing, shooting like what 60 to 100 rounds, and that's basically an all-day affair.
Right.
So then if you were going ahead.
Well, the other issue that we don't really see is like handguns are not very effective at killing people. I mean, they're pretty good because they're lower powered, and so they're actually pretty good at setting up targets and shooting with them. I mean, so you have reduced bays, and they, like you say, the bay size. The other problem is targets too. It's like, all right, well, how many targets do we have to eliminate to shoot AR-15s within 25 and 30 yards? It's like not much.
Well, there are many targets, and IPSC actually has a micro target, which is like 1/4 the size of a standard IPSC target.
But we're not engaging poppers with them or any steel silhouettes at that range.
Right.
No, that would be pretty difficult. I mean, IPSC, unlike multi-gun and USPSA, they actually force you to shoot paper targets at distance. So your traditional multi-gun, you'll see, AR-500 huge steel plates at 400 or 500 yards. In IPSC, they basically put an IPSC target out there and say, have fun shooting at this paper target at 300 yards plus.
Which would probably be a little bit better in the skill building. But it's like, if I see someone, I just bought a new AR-15. Hey, Tom, can I borrow your steel plates? No, thank you.
Well, and I also would say that I personally think that running a multi-gun match and having, this is coming from someone who's match-directed multi-gun and match-directed handgun matches, multi-gun is a lot harder. Multi-gun in general is hard. Even just rifle matches, they're just harder. You have to deal with more. You have to worry about the longer guns. You have to worry about people. It's 2 points of contact, so you have a lot more issues, I think, with the 180. And honestly, out of all this stuff, it's like, look, if you really want to shoot a rifle, shoot a PCC. Shoot a PCC, man. Just don't. That's your best option right now, because shooting a rifle, doing rifle-only matches, you have all these issues with targets. You have all these issues with just setup, and it's difficult to do, in my opinion, a good rifle match well. You need lots of room. You need lots of space. It's just hard to do. Whereas PCC is a little bit more attainable, a little bit more doable. And even then, you still have issues with like the bagging process. It just takes more time. And that's why the 3-gun, we always joke about how the 3-gunners are loosey-goosey about the rules, but I kind of think that's one of the reasons why, because there's so much crap, and it's like they have to get a little bit loose with the rules just to actually get stuff going.
Move the match
going.
Yep.
You're having guys wander around with the shotguns being like, can I load this here? Can I load this here? Like, I don't know. Just load it over there. Put your guns, make a pile. I don't care. Make a teepee. And it's just...
it's a good point, Jared. It really is.
It's just difficult. It's just more stuff.
Well, the other part is the training benefit of having some sort of like an AR-15 or AR-9 PCC is pretty good. I mean, it has a little bit more recoil. I mean, basically it's the same principle. And like, those guys came out with those Magpul conversions for magazines, so you could even be rocking the same dimension of a magazine and put 9mm into it. So it's pretty cool. I mean, like if you want to do that and slum for the rest of your life, that's fine. Some people have finer tastes in their firearms and their 9mm stuff to shoot PCC, but we'll all get there eventually.
All right, next question from Zach. There's a few of them here. Let's see. Let's just start at the top. How do you avoid burnout?
Have fun.
Focus on fun.
Yep, focus on fun.
All the people who got really, really good in a really short period of time do not stay in the sport for very long.
Yep.
They leave. It becomes too much of an effort thing to do it. Like they achieve great things very short periods of time, but they eventually go away.
But it's not fun.
And they have shit mental game. Excuse me, but their mental game sucks. They let one thing, they will go and they'll practice and they are excellent shooters, and they will let one thing, one bad stage, one error, one bobble, one mic, whatever it is, they will let one thing absolutely destroy their entire match.
Correct, because the effort they put into it is like
because they're like, I put all this effort into it. Damn it, it should be a 1-to-1 effort. No, it's not. It never is. It's never that way.
You make it. You spend all day making a dinner, then everyone comes home and they already ate.
Tim Herron, he gave me one of the best pieces of advice I ever got, where he says and I've had to relearn this like a billion times, but it's still fantastic. Where he said, look, if you make a mistake, fix the mistake and move on. The worst thing that upcoming and like shooters who are good and they're getting better, the worst thing they do is they it's like they're driving around a racetrack and something goes wrong and they just like throw that baggage in the back of the car and they're like, I'm just going to keep dragging that around the track. No,
they take themselves way too seriously.
It's the reduction thing, but you got to have fun. The other thing too is like, how do you have fun? Be fun to be around. It's like
listen to the PARAcast.
Yeah. Well, like Kenny Terry is very good and works and practices very hard, but he struggles with burnout too. He's even discussed it on here, and he has a fantastic mental game. But like when you have that effort into that stuff, like you can experience the burnout because everything means more.
Well, and a lot of it is if you're working your ass off to achieve a certain goal, and whether you achieve it or if you don't achieve it, what typically happens is the first year or two, you're probably going to achieve your goal because you're probably setting more realistic, simple goals and they're easier to accomplish. And you're probably going to achieve those goals. Then once you get to year 2 or 3 or 4, and you start putting these very, very lofty goals up there and then you're not achieving them, then you're going to get really mad about it. You're like, I just wasted $10,000 on this ammo to practice all this stuff. And then I just went full potato in the match. I did absolutely shit. And then you have one bad stage and like,
you storm off.
And then you have the guys rage quit. And it sucks, but that's what I think is going to happen when you have that pressure. And it's not even like match pressure. It's artificial fake pressure that you're putting on yourself to do to perform at a certain level. And then when you don't, you become disappointed, you become angry. And obviously, if it costs this much money and it's not even fun anymore, why are you going to keep doing it? You're not. You're going to go do something else.
The funny thing is about shooting sports, and no offense, Mr. President, I mean no offense by this, if you become world championship, your coworkers will not give a shit.
Exactly.
It's true.
That's like
100%.
People know Rob Latham for selling Springfield armory guns. They're like, oh, he's like a really good shooter, but they can't list all his accomplishments. Like you have like how many people know like who
Alex Good is or Eric
Graffel. Like Graffel might be the strongest mental competitor and the greatest shooter of our generation, and people don't know him, but they know Jerry Michalik from YouTube.
Right.
Exactly. Yes. They know Jerry Michalik because he goes, oh, wow, yeah, God, fucking man, I just shot this shit and I had a goddamn fun time. Holy!
Wow. Hey, Jared, would you like to come work for USPSA? Because you could use your personality.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is a fair question, Tom, and that's something that we are working towards that with this historical preservation committee. Rob's dad is Rob has already offered up his dad's photos from way back in the day.
Yep.
Donna's actually really into history. There was a guy from Area 7 that reached out to Frank Rizzi and myself talking about when Miller used to sponsor shooting matches. There was a Miller Invitational.
Yep.
And so this guy was just a wealth of information. And so, some of that is really important that we know where we came from and that, hey, we used to get beer companies sponsoring matches. But yeah, it's a fair question.
Well, the other part is, it was like, even in our own industry, like 80% of the people in SHOT Show have no idea who these people are. Like, it's like the people who's like, this guy I Instagram, or this local trainer I go to, he's way better than these guys who shoot competitively.
Right.
He was in the Marine Corps.
Right. The tactical cowboy knows a lot more about this than you do, sir.
Yeah, so there's it's very
I was
hard.
a tactical cowboy, sir, and we suck in the Marine Corps.
You didn't have to call all Brokeback Mountain on me.
Steve Terry told me, and I'm not going to name his name, but I'll tell you guys off the show. But he told me there's a guy, he still shoots at our club, and he was GM, like GM level shot. I mean, he's an OG IPSC guy, and he shot at such a high level, and it got to the point where it happens to every single one of us. Eventually, age is going to pick up. When you're young, you have the athleticism. And as you get older into this thing, you have the mental ability to hang with the young guys. But eventually, time catches up on all of us. And that's what happened, is the time. And so he's like, I can't compete at this one level that I used to be able to compete. So I'm just going to quit. And for like a good year, he quit. He wasn't there. And then eventually he came back, and talking to Steve, he's like, I don't know why I did that. I just wasted a year of the funnest times I ever had because I thought I had to be something else. And now he competes. He's still there today. He's still an extremely high level shooter. He's always generally in kind of the top 10, top 15. He's a fantastic shooter. But at a certain point, you have to remember, this is what I tell in my new shooter match every single time. Nobody is taking home the Mary Kay pink Cadillac. It just ain't happening.
I have free federal ammo.
Yeah,
that's right,
apparently.
that's
But at the end of the day, this is a game. We call it a sport, call it whatever you want, but it's a game, and we're here to have fun. Most of us are doing this to get out of mowing the lawn or shoveling the snow. And if you are the kind of person who lets these things just burn you up, it will burn you out of this game.
Most of us could be millionaires already if we took the funds we spend on guns and ammunition and the effort we put in USPSA and learned how to use the stock market. We'd all be rich.
Yeah. Yes, but then I wouldn't meet you fine gentlemen from Utah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
also true.
I have a glorious propaganda minister. I have Thomas the Boss, Hernandez, and I have Jared, the court.
McGillicuddy.
Jared, the court jester.
I'll take a couple of other questions here. How do you prep for a major?
There's nothing, like, I'm sorry, but I don't really believe that there's anything special because it's still the same game that's on the ground. It's like, hey, we're playing a professional Monopoly tournament. What shall we do? Well, we'll play Monopoly.
Like, there are a couple different approaches to that. I mean, unless you're Robert, you maybe want to clean your gun. You guys talked about that in the last podcast. It would be nice to have a known starting point. Routine. I mean, I think you think about what you can and can't control, right? You can't control what the weather's going to be like. You can't control if it's going to be 5 degrees and Robert's going to be a popsicle.
Correct. There's the preparation of dealing with things that are outside of your control.
I think go back to fundamentals. Make sure your fundamentals are solid.
Don't change your routine. I mean, Sager actually had a really good discussion about that when he was asked, and it was, if you have a routine that works for you, you stay within that routine. Don't change up your routine just because it's a major match. I mean, major match realistically is, okay, I'm shooting a club match over multiple days. So, your routine, make sure your routine's consistent.
Figure out how to stay mentally engaged for a 2-day match.
Yes.
Oh, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, surprisingly, that burns more people out than you would care to guess. The mental burnout happens for a lot of people faster than the actual physical burnout.
Well, it's kind of like what I was saying. Is like these aren't anything that would be different than an actual match. Well, like in my mind, like I don't sit there and think like a club match or a USPSA like state level match or something like that is magically different or less different, because my motivations and what I'm trying to do at those matches are still the same. Beat my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Beat my friends. How do you beat
Hear
your
the
friends?
lamentations of their women.
Hear the lamentations of the world. Like, how do you,
Joke's on you. Andrew doesn't even care.
how do you like, even if you become world champion, your wife won't even care.
I made a post about this once, Tommy. Like we had come back from a big major match, and it was really interesting to me because I got back on a Sunday, and I got back, put all my stuff away. The next morning, I woke up, went to work, came home, and I'm working in the yard and like mowing stuff and cleaning up because it was in the springtime. And it was so interesting how we
Yeah.
like us, we get so wrapped up. We got nationals, we got this big berry still open or whatever, this really exciting match that shows up, and we prepare for it, and then we come home and we're just Tommy, we're just Jared, we're just doing our thing.
Yeah.
We still have this life, this real life.
Speak for yourself, peasant.
But I mean, like, our kids still come up and they want to play with us, and
Yeah.
we have things to do. And this is just something that we do on the side.
Correct. Well, the
know?
other thing is too is like, if I feel like I have to prepare for a major match because like I'm doing something more, it's because I'm not doing the basics of what I need to do to be good at the sport.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
Like, if I don't have a consistent program, like if you have a consistent program, like another match is coming up, it's like, hey, bitch, same brown targets. Like, you put the sight in the middle of them and you press the trigger as fast as you can, and you move on to the next one as quick as possible. It is the same game. What happens is that just like racing, like, still the same turns, still the same car, more
Right.
people, bigger pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But how do you do that? By being consistent through the turns and doing everything else. Remember, it's the making everything bigger than it actually is that destroys the fun in the sport.
Right.
Managing expectations.
Not even.
Yeah.
Well, you can call it managing expectations, but it's not even expectations. It's making things more than they are. Like, people will throw a fit if they throw a mic. Well, what? I need to do this in practice, and I need to do that. And it's like, all right, here's dumb Tom thinking. Put the sight on the target and press the trigger.
The answer is suck less.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Suck
well,
less.
next time, put the sight there and shoot it.
Next time, don't do that.
It's like, we were in Jared's class. I was like, well, I was sitting there firing and the gun's pushing off to the left, when I sat there on the draw, and they were like coming up with all these things. And it's just like, you want to know why the gun shot a little bit to the left? And like, why? Because the muzzle was pointing at that point of the target when you pressed the trigger.
Would you like to write a book, Tom? I think there's some money in writing books.
Well, it'll be like the Michael Knowles reason.
I'll draw the pictures.
It's the Michael Knowles book, Reasons to Vote for a Democrat, and it's 180 blank pages. Like, it's a very simple thing, but what happens is, like, in a culture of like this gun culture, it's like everything has to be written and be very specific, and look how smart I am, and we did all these detailed things, and this is why everyone's great. And then it's just like, well, I got to be like those people, and so, like, I listen to all these things, I get all these different things, and it's just like, well, and actually to be happy and to be successful, you need to be a reductionist. And so then you start reducing these things. You're like, oh, wow, like, now I'm happy, and like, things are a lot simpler. They're a lot easier to understand. It's just like, hey, this looks like one bullet hole. I probably missed it. Why did I miss it? Because the gun wasn't aimed at it. Okay. One mic, alpha mic. Everyone walk back.
Sir, that is
All
way too logical. This is supposed to be a show that insults everybody.
Yeah.
Two that are combined. It'll be the last one for the day. What's your opinion on no penalty mic targets in a stage, and how do you slow down a stage without making it boring and tons of partials?
I dislike no penalty mic targets in stages that haven't. Well, I hate them in a way that when the stage has so many points available that it is where you just go like, I'm gonna skip that, and they go like, it's faster to skip that target, and then so everyone skips it. So I only.
But not everybody does, though. That's the beauty of it. Is sometimes, and you can see it happen, like we did yesterday, Tommy, where like we actually saw people shoot this. It was actually Zach's stage, where he had a no penalty target, and it was you hit the popper, and then it flopped open, and then went away. And there was so many freaking ways that people shot that stage. Like on the Super Squad, I think there was, 4 or 5 different viable, like legitimately viable ways to shoot that stage, with some people shooting the target and some people just leaving it. It was the craziest thing, but he built a damn good stage if you want a stage that had just options up the wazoo.
So, were there other targets to shoot from the same position as the no penalty mic target? See, there. Okay, so like,
Yep.
the problem is that when you have no penalty mic targets that are in a position all by themselves that require or are in a position where you can see the other target that's next to the no penalty mic target from another spot. So it's all about positioning with no penalty mic targets. If you put them in a spot where people have to go to anyway, they're fine. If you put them in a position where there's very low points, they're fine. But if you put them in a position by themselves that get activated by something else, people will not go there to do them.
No,
yeah,
this
it's a
one was
lot
good.
harder to it's a lot harder to implement no penalty mics. I mean, it really forces you to think about hit factor math and, you know, okay, if I do this, I mean, this we were actually having a discussion with Brian Nelson yesterday on that very subject, where as a general rule, we're not very good at actually quantitatively assessing points for time. And so, but that's the beauty of it. Like, right. Well, that's the beauty, as Robert says, is, you know, for your for your less experienced competitors, they're going to go, I need the points. And then as you become a little bit more experienced, you begin to understand, okay, well, this is going to cost me X amount of time, and then this is the points I can probably guarantee. Is it really worth it? But the implementation is a little bit more challenging than, you know, actually getting people to go, hey, am I going to shoot this no penalty mic or not?
Well, the crazy thing about the implementation of them is it also has to deal with, like, who am I competing against, and did they shoot it, and was it worth it for them? Because how many times have we sat up there and go, like, I think I'm going to shoot that, and then you see someone you resemble as the same skill or better than you, and they, like, oh man, that took 3 seconds, and you're like, I am not shooting that. So
Right. That's
yeah.
the beauty of that stage, where this is USPSA. We give you a series of challenges, and we allow you to decide how you want to solve them.
Yes,
and that's the beauty of it. And so when you make, I mean, you could do the IDPA thing of, you know, like, here's the velvet rope, follow the velvet rope to success. Or you could say, look, we're going to put all this stuff out here. There's going to be things that you may want to do in a certain way. But the hallmark of a good stage is one where you have multiple high-level people having a discussion on how to successfully shoot the stage, and ultimately coming away with, it comes down to execution.
Correct.
Did you have anybody who was, this sounds mean, but did you have any who was good shoot the no penalty mics yesterday, Robert?
Yeah,
Or
Mark Walkie
did everybody leave him? Walkie did?
Okay. Walkie did. Yeah, he actually he did this stage like completely backwards. It was really cool how he did it, though, because you started in that back right corner, and then he went like immediately forward, and he shot all the stuff. Got I think he got the swinger activated. Oh yeah, he got the swinger activated, and then he came running back, and he shot all the stuff in the back, picked up the no penalty mic target, and then he finished. I think he actually finished on the swinger, because at that point the swinger was almost static.
Okay.
How did that plan work out for Mark?
It worked really good. Like, we're sitting here like, well, shit, that was actually a pretty viable plan there. But
well, Mark is an OG in the sport, and he's probably a math Asian, unlike me.
Yeah, Mark is, God, I love picking his brain on anything. He's so damn smart.
So as far as slowing down a stage, I mean, it kind of the question is, why do you want to slow down a stage?
Match flow. That'd be the only. I think that's the only legitimate reason for wanting to slow a stage down, would just be trying to keep the stages from bumping into each other.
Yeah, but if you want to slow down a stage, add more stuff. I wouldn't make stuff harder per se to slow it down, because that's going to slow it down exponentially worse for these slower shooters.
Well, I don't even think it's
but I think it's kind of part and parcel. You could not add more stuff, but make
positions.
Positions, so that you have to like be in
more
certain
positions, more stuff.
And it doesn't make it harder necessarily, but it does just make it more involved.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, there's technical aspects that you can mean to slow down a stage, but technical aspects
technical aspects, like the guys who are quick are still going to finish exponentially faster than the guys who are not very good.
Right.
Mhm.
So like you
Well-
might slow down a stage, but like in relative positions to the squads, like it's no different. Some positions you could do to slow down a stage.
There's a really good example of this actually at a match a long time ago. Some friends were building the match. It was the cop match before I was in charge of it, and they were building the stage, and I was out there helping out. I'm like, oh, hey, this is how I would shoot this stage, and they said, oh, we don't like that. We're gonna change this just to make this a FU Jared stage. We're gonna make this harder. 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 And I said, okay, I'll still shoot it. And it was funny because I actually demolished that stage, and what they ended up doing was creating a stage that the average shooter just absolutely crapped all over themselves on, and everybody talked about how they hated that stage because it was so hard. And I was like, yeah, I beat you guys by like 20% on that one.
Anytime you do something to slow down the fast guys, you destroy the lower class guys.
Yeah,
guaranteed every time.
Don't do that, because that
don't
just
ever
hurts.
do that.
It hurts the average man.
Think about it this way: it's nothing but big business regulations.
Yep.
Big business regulations is like telling the big business to take a little bit of poison. They all have the money to absorb or the immune system to take the little bit of poison, but the small business cannot. They don't have this. And so like the amount of skills that people have, like make it harder, guess what? Their skill set will still see them through.
Except for in this analogy, YeeMin will come in and he'll give all of the GMs, an extra like 2 or 3 seconds off their time and put it all on the backs of the C and D class.
You got to get asses in the seats, Roberts. I don't know how the hell you want us to get
yeah,
in the seats, okay?
Hey, I'm still working on finding that Chinese billionaire to fund USPSA for life.
I thought that was Derek. Oh, that got awkward.
Well, I mean, if you see it on the internet, it must be true.
It is. Everything on the internet is true.
Especially on Instagram. Anyways, we're all done. It's an hour and 53 minutes we've been on this call, spending our Sundays with you.
Are you serious?
Yes. Anyways,
oh my God.
Thanks for listening. Thanks
I'm
for
so
downloading.
sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I blame it mostly on YeeMin.
Yeah,
everything's my fault.
It's true.
He is the president.
Also ask Derek.
And so thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for subscribing, doing all that stuff. Steve Koski couldn't make it, and Kenny Terry is off driving around some badlands, being a bad person. So for Robert Wyatt, Jared Stapp, and YeeMin Lin, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and souls. We depart into the open waters of the sea of life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
For the Empire!